Here we are. This is the Ben and Gary Show. We know dentistry, and again, we have our special guest here, and it's Dr. Dan Pinto. He's really a terrific addition to our office. He is our newest doctor to the office, and please welcome him when you're in. Now, it's wonderful to be able to have yet another specialist, another processist. It's part of our group to be able to help answer your questions. Just raises our game all around. Now, we have a question that came in from a patient, or excuse me, an individual who is not necessarily a patient here. I'm not exactly sure where this patient is from here, but let me set it up here for a second, guys. It's an individual, a man in his late 60s who's has good dental habits, but he lives, in an area or location where it's not as easy to get to the dentist. So it's remote. So he's got to take a drive for, a couple, tens or few miles there to get to a dentist. Right. And his interest is that he thinks he needs some implants. He needs like 4 implants, somewhere in his mouth and his back teeth. And he also has some general crowding. And he's interested to know because, listen, where he lives, he doesn't want to spend a whole lot of time on his, going back and forth for dental appointments, or at least maybe he could schedule around it because he's got a busy life. How long would you think it takes to be able to kind of go through a process that? And so I know we don't have all the diagnostics and the x-rays and everything else that we would need to be able to typically answer this one as if they were in our office. So I think we'd kind of keep this at a high level to be able to give them some sort of idea, scaffolding to understand, what is it really going to take here. Right. So, given something like that, you don't just sort of jump in for day one and start talking about giving them implants. Where do we start with that here? Maybe I'll throw it out to you guys.
So first things we generally will do is we have to get a good set of x-rays. If he has nothing that he can bring with him, then we will take the necessary x-rays, usually a full mouth series of x-rays, which means individual x-rays of all the teeth, upper and lower, and then have one of the assistants would take study models so that we can then have something that we can look at and compare with the x-rays and figure out a treatment plan.
Yeah, so it's like trying to figure out what are the facts, what are the situations here, and the way in which we do that is through x-rays, creating a set of replicas of an individual's mouth to be able to see how their bite comes together,
review
or lack thereof.
Medical history, and then see if there's any other ramifications as far as that. Right.
So then we jump in and start doing implants?
Of course not.
Okay. All right. So then what happens?
Yeah, so, obviously you have the study models or the replicas to kind of see where they are, right? And then we want to see where you want to end up, because I'm assuming the patient has a goal in mind, they clearly they want back teeth, But if we place 4 implants right away, and then we have to he wants to fix the crowding too, then, maybe we can't move those teeth anymore because the implants are in the way.
Right.
So we have to have a plan from the start.
Correct.
And that's why we need to have the study models and kind of have a solid treatment plan to kind of know the sequence of things we need to do things in, so that way we don't get to a roadblock at a certain point and something kind of prevents us from going further.
Right.
So we have to sequence the treatment properly.
Yes, that's the goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to have sort of 2 individuals digging a tunnel, and then all of a sudden instead of 1 tunnel you have 2 tunnels. By the time you're finished.
Maybe they just keep going.
They just keep going, right? Then you have 2 tunnels, right?
It doesn't work quite the same way, right?
The idea is have a plan first.
Have a plan.
And so I think so what do we have now? So the patient has come to our office, and we've gathered all the records that we need to, the x-rays, the models, the examinations, checked out their gums, their medical history. And then it's about time here, essentially at that point in time, they need to make sure that they have, general gum health. So typically I would imagine just get into the hygiene program just so that they have optimal dental health before we start introducing new things to this environment.
Exactly.
And so from that, I think it sounds like there's some crowding and there's some dental implants. Dan, I like your idea of just being able to have question him as to, is this crowding something that bothers you?
Right.
Is it something you'd like to be able to see change? And is it enough such that it is from a dental standpoint from our side that would lead to a malocclusion or a bad bite in the end if we don't correct it, say, now? And as they say, when it comes to straightening out teeth, you have to have space to be able to do that. And if you put some immobile objects called dental implants, which can never move.
Right.
And all of a sudden now you need more space, and the implants are in the way. Then that's the process of not having a proper sequence.
Right.
And everybody wants to sort of get to the end like as fast as they possibly can. I get it. Everybody's pressed for time. Nobody wants to spend time in the dental office here. But if your goal is having a great dentition, a great set of teeth, and a great smile at the end, that's going to not only look great now, but look great 10 years from now, and have very little maintenance, then I think its idea is have a plan.
Right. So let's say he does want to have the teeth straightened, and he elects to go through orthodontic treatment. Generally, how long does that take?
Gosh, that's
I know it's depends on the complexity,
right,
and
right,
bite and
How
all
much
that.
crowding?
But just in general terms, just so he has an idea how long that would take.
Good point here. I'd say that for an adult at his age, by the time the teeth have gotten crowded, there, that the idea of having it just done in like 6 months is probably too soon. Too little bit of time. I think a full 9 months to perhaps 18 months to be able to get to a place where the teeth are actually lined up and done properly.
Right.
You don't want to move the teeth too quick.
Don't want to move them too quickly.
Right. Especially in adults.
In adults, it's you can end up with definitely challenges and actually lose teeth in the process. And I would actually have to say like don't go to the sort of do it yourself. There's a lot of that out there, and there are certain companies out there that are promoting that you can do it yourself, and I think that's only going to lead yourself to problems. And so not having the guidance of someone who's masterminding the whole thing is going to be you're going to end up with a problem. Imagine if you tried to be your own general contractor for your home renovation without having any understanding of like what building is about.
You don't know what the foundation is
like. You have
like.
no idea what the foundation is like.
Yeah, you're building on sand.
If you want to then go hand it off to the pro's going to look at you like what happened before then, and realize that they're probably going to have to redo something and fix a mistake, because of just your not understanding like how all this really actually works. So now we've the idea of having some orthodontics that's been done. Next phase, I guess, is finally we get a chance to be able to put in the cornerstones that are missing in the right place. And I guess that's dental implants. And so basically the patient gets the dental implant from, again, a full workup of what the bone, the space, place the implant. How long do they have to wait now?
Well,
after the implants to be able before you can put any teeth on.
If he has teeth that have to be extracted, then the extraction's done. A bone graft would be placed to help maintain the ridge.
Right, because if the bone's too narrow, then the implant can't be put in there.
Right.
So you have to have adequate bone mass. So if he has to wait for the bone graft to heal,
mature and get harder,
so that's 3 to 4 months, right?
Minimum, yeah. And it's going to be probably like 3 to 6, actually, depending on what kind of amount you have to actually add. Back.
And that's just not because we want to have you wait. We're just limited by biology.
Yeah, the biology of our system to heal has to heal. You can't rush a bone break, to be able to move through. But so the same kind of thing.
So now we're at 3 to 4 months, or 3 to 6 months.
Right.
Then you can come back and have the implants placed in the proper position, and then wait another 3 to 4 months. And then it can be restored. Right.
Correct.
Okay. And the restorative part probably takes another month or so.
Right. That's probably the least amount of time that it takes. We have to, with everything else, we kind of have to hurry up and wait. It's kind of tough. Kind of waiting that period of time, but that's just the way that the system works.
Right.
You got to respect the nature of the body.
So that whole sequence takes about 9 months or so. Right?
Correct.
9, 10 months.
So we have about 9-10 months on the restorative phase, which means the bone graft, the extractions, the bone grafting, the implants, the healing, and then finally the crowns at the end. About 9 months. And if it's orthodontics before that, it's at least another 9 months, probably maybe even as much as 18 months. So now we're up to about 2 years, maybe 2 years and a little bit more. If you really want to get the full reconstruction of what's changed over time to get back to what nature should have given you in the first place.
And then I guess it depends on the patient too. Like maybe the crowding isn't severe and whether it's not important or
Correct.
not as important for the proper occlusion, proper bite.
Correct.
So then you leave it up to the patient. Maybe they don't want to do the orthodontics. Maybe they don't want to wait that time. Maybe it's going to take full 18 months.
Right.
And they don't want to go through with it. They don't want to spend the time. It's not worth their time. But it's up to the patient too.
Many times that is.
Whether
I think what we find a lot of times is that by the time they've lost either some teeth, there's so much change between the top of your jaw and the bottom jaw that space becomes a problem. And just trying to get the implants in there to be able to have a normal size, shape, so that they function work properly, and that you know, they're not having problems with food, you know, just getting kind of packed in around that and not being able to, you know, maintain it properly. Then sometimes orthodontics is necessary to be able to move teeth around, to be able to gain more space.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not possible to even put an implant in place.
It's definitely case dependent.
It's definitely case dependent. So, you know, there's so many, you can tell there's so many variables that we have to, you know, deal with. And this is why whenever we get these kinds of questions, they say, listen, you know, we want to get you to your dentist who's able to be able to give you an individualized treatment plan that fits your needs, because not everybody it can just fit into a box that is a cookie cutter, so to speak, sort of treatment. And so that's, but hopefully at a high level, this gives you a little bit of understanding of the phases and the stages on how long it's going to take. You know, there's so many other things out there that say, you know, teeth in a day, and you know, that can be a little bit of misleading. And so we'll talk about that maybe another time. Maybe that might be a question that you have out there about teeth in a day and what that is. And we'll have an opportunity to be able to, you know, touch on that as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. This is the Ben and Gary Show with Dr. Dan Pinto. We'll see you next time. We know dentistry.
All right. Bye-bye.